Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies, and I'm here to add another video to the Tzaangor Demon collection. So, start off with a big thank you to Games Workshop for sending out the new Tzaangor Battle Tome for me to review and to make videos about. And with the Tzaangor Battle Tome in mind, I thought I would help you guys out by getting some easy to follow tutorials for some of the units in the book. So we started last week with an easy to follow guide on how to paint all three of the horrors. So pink, blue and brimstone all in one video. So if you guys need to learn how to paint your horrors, I'll put a link at the top of the screen here where you can click and go and watch that video. But now it is time to move on to one of the more complicated units in the book, and one that a lot of people seem to struggle with, and I don't think they should be struggling nearly as much as they think they should. So that is of course the Tzaangor Skyfire units. So Tzaangor themselves are considered to be quite a pain to paint, and then of course the ones riding around on discs are even harder again. So I decided to dispel the myth that these guys are difficult to paint by showing you guys an easy to follow series of techniques to get your guys on the table ASAP. I just want to start off this video by also thanking all of my Patreons for their continued support. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to make my videos week in, week out and keep the lights on in the studio. So thank you guys so much for that support, and without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, and this is the Tzaangor Skyfire miniature that I've decided to go for. I have actually sub-assembled him a little bit, so he's separate from his disc, and his disc is actually separate from the magical effect thing that keeps it in the air. I started one of the new contrast Frostheart. I did test a bunch of them out on my palette to see which one I think most matched the skin color of a Tzaangor, and Frostheart was the one that stood out to me the most. So I quickly applied that to all of the skin area on this miniature. If you're wondering how I sprayed them, all parts of this miniature got a coat of Chaos Black spray, and then a coat of Grey Seer. Grey Seer is my favorite color to work up from when it comes to contrast. I do change it up sometimes, but for about 98% of the time, it's Grey Seer. I just think it's a really nice neutral base paint to start working up your contrasts with. So very carefully went around all Frostheart to all of the skin parts, making sure I didn't miss anything. Now, the interesting thing about Tzaangor and Tzaangor Skyfires and Enlighten and stuff like that is the armor is also blue, so I have to switch to a different color. So I decided to go for a Talassar Blue, which is kind of a nice, rich, vibrant color. I think the Frost was definitely one that is kind of more natural looking, so I think it suits skin, whereas Talassar is definitely almost like a man-made color, so I think that works a lot better for armor. So I quickly went around and painted in all of the armor panels on this miniature with the Talassar Blue. From there we moved over to Gryph-Hound Orange, and I decided to use this as the color for its feathered plume going down the back of its head, plus the feathers that are hanging off its belt as like little trophies and tokens and stuff like that. Gryph-Hound Orange. Now he does have a few like little bits of kind of feathers sticking out from his body in random places. I just ignored those. I left those blue. You're not going to notice them, and I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference, except ignoring them is obviously going to save a lot of time. It's time now to use some skeleton Horde, and this is for his beak and his horns. Another very quick, very easy step. Like I said, if you're batch painting these guys, every step is only going to take, I don't know, 20-30 seconds to get through, so you're going to get them base coated up fairly quickly. And these guys only come in units of 3, obviously not bigger than 3, but a box of them is 3, so you can work them all up like the entire box in one go. And I don't think any part of the painting, except maybe the gold trim, would slow you down at all. So now it's time for the metallic. So I went for Iron Hand Steel and painted in all of the silver parts on this miniature. So parts of the bow, the shaft of the arrows, and that's pretty much it for the silver parts of the model. Nothing too crazy. But after that we move on to the definitely the slowest part of painting this entire miniature, and that is base coating in all of the gold parts on the miniature. As the disc itself is mostly done with metallics, I haven't done anything with it up until this point, but I filled in the main body with silver, and then all of the struts and stuff will go gold in a moment. The discs themselves will be one of the more interesting parts to paint on this miniature, as they're all quite different from each other when you're painting them up. Okay, so now it's time for that stage, which I will say will take a lot of time, which is the Retributor Armour Gold. Obviously these guys are Tzaangor. Tzaangor is a very fancy demon indeed, and he definitely is a fan of his bling. So this is just something you will have to take your time with. I would say it take kind of 4 or 5 minutes a model going around just filling in all of the gold sections, which I know doesn't seem like very much, but if you're painting up a squad of 10 Tzaangor on foot, you know, 5-6 minutes a model is suddenly a full hour on one stage, and if you're trying to batch paint, that can seem quite tedious. Obviously painting up one guy at a time is not bad at all, but I do recommend kind of bulk painting for basic infantry in a game. So doing 3 of these Skyfires all in one go, you know, it could take 15-20 minutes or whatever to get all the gold done, because they obviously have it all over their body and their discs as well. But it's definitely worth taking your time and making sure you do get all of the bits that need to be gold done. I obviously didn't know exactly which parts were supposed to be gold, so I once again had the Games Workshop website opened up, and I was just using the 360s that they have on the page, which I think is a super helpful tool for finding out which parts of the model are supposed to be gold. And here's both parts all done with the gold. I'm quite happy with these so far. From now, I believe it's time to move over and wash the miniatures. And to wash them, I decided to go for Druchii Violet. Now this is the new Druchii Violet, not the old Druchii Violet. So it will be a smaller 18mm pot, if you're wondering. That actually does make quite a difference, as the new shades tend to be a little bit thinner. So obviously a lot of the colors underneath are going to show through a lot better. This can be pros and cons depending on what you're painting and what result you want. But if you're following along with this tutorial, I recommend you have the new Druchii Violet. The older one might overpower the entire scheme, and you basically won't be able to see what's going on afterwards. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So Druchii Violet sits on top of pretty much everything really nicely, because this is demons. It can have an odd tint of color to everything. It works great over silver, it looks great over gold, the blue, even the orange it looks pretty good on. As you can see, we left the center of the disc white, or grey Seer should I say. We're going to be coming back to that and the magical effect that keeps it in the air a little bit later on. That'll be some of the last steps we do on the miniature to give it that kind of a demonic glow effect. This is a very quick and easy step, and when it's dry it should look something like this. We're going to move straight over to Iron Hand Steels, and we're going to give all the metallic parts a quick dry brush of Iron Hand Steel. This will act as a very quick highlight. It will dull down some of the purple, because you don't want to be too purpley or else it's going to look like something from Slaanesh, and Tzaangor will have an absolute hissy fit if that's the case. So we want to go back in, nice light dry brush across everything, which will bring it back to where we want it for the purpose of this video. We're going to do the same thing across to the actual Tzaangor himself. We're just going to go in with a small dry brush and dry brush up all the metallics. You may think this is crazy that we're going to hit loads of parts that we're not supposed to hit, but that is okay, because we're going to be doing a little bit of layering on the armor, a little bit of layering on the skin and the hair. So it doesn't matter if a little bit of silver hits any of the other parts. Like I said, there's very little paint on it, and it is targeting the metallics, so it shouldn't make too much of a difference, but this will make all of the metallic parts pop quite nicely. Teclis Blue was then used to layer up all of those armor panels again. This is once again a really quick stage because there isn't a lot of armor. There's just a bit of armor on his thighs, a bit around his waist and on his greaves, so around his wrists. There's nothing on his torso, nothing on his legs from the calves down or from the thighs down, so it's not a long process whatsoever. It's then time to move across to Hoeth Blue, and this is what we're going to use to highlight the skin. So obviously going to spend a little bit of time highlighting the skin around his face, but after that it's just the highlights on the raised areas kind of pointing up towards the model. So some of the hands and fingers, kind of the shoulders and forearms, hands, a little bit on the legs, but nothing crazy. This is a very quick technique. Obviously some of the musculature on his back, which I hit with silver, I went in and re-highlighted it with the Hoeth Blue just to cover up any of the silver mistakes. Like I said, it's a super quick step. There we have it. That's the skin all layered up, armor all layered up, gold and silver all layered up. Super quick. Lugganath Orange was used just to highlight a few of the strands of hair, just to make that orange not be so flat. I'm trying to be braver with my contrasts here. I definitely want certain bits of this miniature to pop more than others. So I did go brave with my orange. From there we move over to the Ushabti Bone, and this is of course to quickly add a highlight to his beak. Very light around the bottoms, a little bit around the top. And then I wiped most of the paint off and kind of gave it all of the horns just a little dry brush. It's a very quick step. Obviously, I don't want to go in and paint each individual line on those horns because it would take all day. Maybe on a character I would do that. But for a simple Tzaangor, I just make sure there's light paint on it and just kind of go against the grain, and it will, like a dry brush, just catch the edges. Celestra Grey was used to highlight the loincloth. Just a few streaky highlights. Obviously it was grey, so we didn't have to add any base coats to it, just straight from the undercoat spray, shaded on top of it, and then highlighted with Celestra Grey. You don't have to make white difficult. Warp Lightning is the contrast I decided to use for all of the kind of magical effects across my Tzaangor army. So if you watched my horror video, which I linked at the top of the video here, there's obviously fire in some of the pink horror, blue horror, and then the brimstone is made up entirely of warp energy, and I did this exact same color scheme. This is the Warp Lightning contrast paint over the entire piece. And then after that, all we did is move over to a moot green to add a little highlight. So making little decisions like this across an entire army will help basically keep a generic theme going the whole way through. So horrors and Tzaangor may not have a lot in common as it goes to aesthetics, but adding little color things like that in that match will make them look all very similar on the tabletop and look like one cohesive army. As you can see, it's a very quick thing. Warp Lightning across the entire thing, and then a quick highlight of moot green across all of the magical effects, all of the raised areas. And then from there, we just take everything off their separate bases, glue them all together. Very quick and easy step. And from there, we have one finished Tzaangor Skyfire, ready to see the tabletop using a new Tzaangor battle tome from Games Workshop. Super pleased with the result of this guy. I hope it has alleviated some of your guys' fear for painting up this guy. I cannot wait to get the rest of them painted. And we actually have 6 of them to paint up, so there's 1 down, 5 to go. Obviously, this is my second Tzaangor video. We've got the horrors and the Tzaangor. Please let me know in the comments below what would you like my next demon video to be. And there we have it. One Tzaangor Skyfire model, fully painted from start to finish. I'd say maybe 15 minutes of work in total. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. I hope it has dispelled some of your fears about painting these units, including the normal Tzaangor themselves. And if it did, you thought this video was helpful, you can show your support by just throwing a like below. If you have any questions about anything I did, any questions about the Tzaangor Battle Tome, Tzaangor Battle Tome, please drop in the comments below and I will get back to each and every one of you guys. And if for some crazy reason you are not already subscribed to the channel, takes 2 seconds out of your day, make mine and hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching till the end of the video. I'll catch you in the next one.